here today visiting Palace House at Beaulieu. And Beaulieu is known for the National Motor Museum, but also Palace House was one of the first historic houses to open up to the public. I'll also be visiting Lord Montague of Beaulieu because that's another branch of the Montague family. And I want to learn a little bit more about the fabric of the building, the history of his side of Montagues. I can't wait to get stuck in for a great day out. When I married into the British aristocracy, it was the start of a wonderfully exciting journey. But it was also a little daunting. I became a Viscountess, and for an American girl from a small town outside Chicago, that was quite a shock.
I live with my husband Luke, heir to the Earl of Sandwich, and our family at Mapperton House in Dorset.
Living in a place like this is a joy, but also a challenge. And every day we're aware that we're preserving a very special part of Britain's heritage. Mapperton has opened up an extraordinary new world for me, and I can't wait to share it with you all.
So if you love castles and manors and stately homes as much as I do, please join this American Viscountess as I journey into the British countryside in search of some of Britain's finest historic houses.
Well, what a splendid
Hello.
thing to arrive in. Hello.
I had to arrive in style. I mean, I'm at Beaulieu. Anyway, hello.
Lovely to see you again.
So nice to see you.
This is, of course, the home of the National Motor Museum. We don't actually have one of these in the museum, so if you'd like to leave it with me, I'm sure we could find a space.
Well, I'd have to actually ask our co-production partner, Aonia.com, if I could,
okay.
but he might
Yeah.
say yes. But no, isn't this, I thought if I'm going to come to Beaulieu, home of the National Motor Museum, I must arrive in style.
You certainly have done that. Well, look, let me just show you a little bit about the outside of the house before we go in. Beaulieu is here because Cistercian monks founded an abbey here in 1204, and this piece of the building on the right with the rougher stone
Yes.
was the gatehouse to the abbey where they would receive guests. And it was from that much later, after the abbey was closed and much of it was demolished, that my ancestors built a house by extending this gatehouse, and most particularly my great-grandfather made it into the house you see today.
It's lovely. It is really lovely.
And
But
using the same type of stone that the monks would have used.
is that, am I correct? Are my eyes still good enough to see that that's some Montague heraldry
that's
up
right.
there?
So on the right are the Montague lozenges that we know so well,
Yes, yes.
with the Monthermer eagle.
Yes.
And then on the left is the Scot moon and stars, which is a reference to our Scottish ancestry.
To the Beaulieu
Yes,
side.
that's right.
Yes.
Anyway, come on in.
Fantastic.
So here we are in the front hall of Palace House. Now, although parts of this building date back to the 13th century, this hall and much of this wing are actually from the 19th century because my great-great-grandfather, Walter Francis, 5th Duke of Beaulieu, decided to give the Beaulieu estate, which he owned, it was one of many estates he owned, to this man, my great-grandfather, Henry, who was his second son. And it was only when that happened that Palace House had a resident owner who actually made it his family home, and he undertook lots of changes to make it into a nice place to live, which I'll show you as we go around. So the modern history of Beaulieu really starts with him and his marriage in 1865.
Because he made it a home.
Absolutely.
Right, so he made it home.
So now we're moving on to John, his son,
Right.
my grandfather, and my grandmother, his wife. His first wife actually died from the Spanish influenza, which swept through Europe after the First World War.
Yes.
And so he remarried in 1920 a lady much younger than him, who was my grandmother.
Okay.
And I remember her well. She died aged 101 in 1996. whereas he died in 1929. So it's a huge.
So, yes. So he remarried younger, but then he didn't. So how long were they married before he passed away?
Only 9 years. And in
Right.
that time, they had 4 children. So it's pretty good.
Right. That is
including
pretty
my
good.
father.
Including your father.
Yeah.
So when he died, how old was your father? Who was then?
Only 2.5 years old, so my father never remembered him. But my grandmother kept the estate going through the years that followed until my father got to the age of 25.
Oh my goodness. I love these female empowering women stories.
Ralph's father, Edward, the 3rd Baron Montague of Beaulieu, was to build on his mother's legacy and transform the fortunes of Beaulieu. And the key to this transformation was his passion for cars.
His interest in cars, would you say, came because from his father,
Very much so,
and
yes.
who he didn't know, and so in a
Yes.
sense that made that connection
Yes,
that
it
he
did.
never really had.
And what I should explain is that John, my grandfather, was a great pioneer motorist in Britain, and as an MP, which he was before he inherited his barony from his father, he campaigned a lot in Parliament and in the House of Lords for motorists' rights.
And Ralph's grandfather is credited for introducing the British royal family to motoring when he took the Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII, for a drive in his Daimler. In 1952, Beaulieu was one of the first historic homes to open their doors to the public. Ralph's father, Edward, paid tribute to his father by creating a display of veteran cars, the beginnings of the National Motor Museum.
It all started in this room because
Right.
when he first opened the house to visitors in 1952, and he was not the first, but one of the first to do this, to open his historic house to the public. Believe it or not, he got 5 old cars into this room, and he did it as a tribute to his father.
Really actually quite genius. You know, when I look at that date, 1952, it reminds me of the story that my father-in-law told me that, you know, in 1953, they tried to open up Hinchingbrook to the public and sell tickets to the house, but that didn't work. Maybe had they put cars in, it might have still been in
Well,
the
it works for
family.
some stately homes and not others. But obviously that's just one generation back. Let me take you through to the portrait gallery and show you where it all began, because the family ownership of Beaulieu actually goes back to 1538. So come on in
Okay,
here.
fantastic.
Yeah. Beaulieu was a monastic estate until Henry VIII closed all the abbeys.
Yes.
And in 1538, this man, Thomas, 1st Earl of Southampton, negotiated to purchase Beaulieu and another estate called Titchfield from Henry VIII after the abbeys had been closed. And in fact, the stone from the abbey was then used for building castles along the coast here, because there is no stone in this area, so it was almost treated like a quarry. It was rather sad.
Right,
This wonderful abbey building, partly for symbolic reasons it was demolished, but also because they actually wanted to reuse the stone elsewhere.
So he then is responsible, though, for building what we see today?
In part.
In part.
I mean, he adapted the Great Gatehouse into a hunting lodge. It was definitely not a main residence. The New Forest was a popular destination for hunting, and Beaulieu, it was almost like, I suppose, a sort of holiday home, we might regard.
Right.
His grandson, Henry III Earl, and if there's one person in history that I would love to meet, it's this man, because he is the only person to whom Shakespeare dedicated any of his works. Shakespeare dedicated Venus and Adonis and the late Rape of Lucrece to him as his benefactor.
But did he inherit then?
He did.
He did.
Yes.
So he inherited Beaulieu.
Yeah, it was not a main home. His main country residence was Titchfield, which is on the other side of the Southampton water from here to the east. But it is possible that Shakespeare plays would have been performed either at Titchfield or maybe even here.
Maybe even here.
If only he kept a diary.
Oh, right.
As you can see, this is our main dining hall. So we're now in the oldest part of the house. This was the Great Gatehouse to Beaulieu Abbey. Although this is Victorian restoration, this kind of vaulting is very much in the pattern that the monks would have built in.
Right.
And I'd particularly like to show you this because this is where my height, my sister's heights, and also the generation before my father and my aunts, as they grew up, were penciled on the wall.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so where does yours stop? Now I can see it there, 1985. I think it's about the same.
I don't think I've grown since then.
So, but now that I see this, what was it like growing up in this palace?
Well, there were always have in my lifetime been two definite sides to the house, a public side and a private side. And you kind of know when you come into the public side during opening hours that you can't just do what you want. But there are times when we do use this, as a private room, particularly in the evenings, and Christmas lunch especially. We've had many wonderful Christmas lunches here.
It's wonderful for me to see that you do still use these rooms.
Absolutely.
I think that that's really important. I know that there's obviously what you were saying, that there's the private side and then there's the public side, but when we can, we use these.
Yeah.
It's the same thing at Mapperton. There's about 6 rooms that are open to the public. And we get asked all the time, but do you still use those rooms? And we do, for Christmas or for Easter.
Yeah, you must.
You must.
And it's quite fun to leave a few remnants. I mean, when, at Christmas we fire those sort of,
Poppers.
little popper things, and some of the contents land in chandelier. Well, you just leave it there, because it's a reminder that the place is lived in. So now this is the other room that would have been part of the Great Gatehouse. And what you have to remember, that this was a thoroughfare. This bay window would have been open.
Right.
And there would have been a big wide corridor going all the way through and out to the other side. This fireplace, again, is an infill. And I mean, I think...
So I would have gone underneath.
Correct.
Through the archway here, I see.
But anyway, this fireplace, I think, is a splendid piece of Gothic Victorian.
It's lovely. I mean, it is beautiful.
What's nice is that all the changes that were made in the 1870s were very much done with an eye on history. And these, although it is Victorian stained glass, the coat of arms here commemorate benefactors of the Abbey and some of the abbots who presided over the Abbey. So it's referring back to history all the time. Perhaps we should go and look upstairs now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry, it got stuck.
It's to keep the intruders out. Yeah. They built them well.
The Beaulieu estate, with its monastic roots, maritime history, and National Motor Museum, has so much to offer visitors. But at its heart, Beaulieu has always been a family home.
Now, I really want to show you a very favourite room of mine, the library. Not so much because of the books, but because this was my father's cosy room. Many happy memories of just playing here throughout the year. There is my father, probably painted before he was married. He'd be in his early 20s there.
Beautiful.
And looking restless, which he always was.
Well, that's why he was the pioneer to,
absolutely. He had so much energy.
Opening up his historic house. It's incredible. Always thinking of new ways to innovate.
In contrast, my mother here.
It's lovely. She just looks so relaxed and at ease and not a care in the world.
Well, let me tell you, in that chair you had to be relaxed because you couldn't sit up in it. Visitors didn't see this until after my father died, and I still have the option to close it off when I want to use it, but I very much left it as it was, and I really don't want to make major changes here because I just think it's lovely as it is. I must show you this, because had I brought you in here blindfold and spun you around a couple of times, you might have said, well, how do I get out? So these are all false books.
It's wonderful.
None of these are serious titles.
It's absolutely brilliant.
But
though.
don't try to pull them out.
No, I was tempted. Then I remembered it was a door.
From its beginnings in 1952, the National Motor Museum quickly grew in size and interest. Within 4 years, it had become a separate museum and today houses 285 vehicles with more than 1.7 million items in the collection. Rafe has promised to show me one of his favorite cars from the museum.
And my chief engineer here, Ian, is just getting the car ready.
Hello there.
Hello, I'm Julie.
Ian, pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ian. Oh my gosh, what a beauty.
So this is very special to us because unlike any other car in the museum, this has been at Beaulieu for nearly all its life, since 1913. It's a 1903 car. This model of car was very popular in the 1900s. It's a French de Dion-Bouton 6 horsepower, 1-cylinder car. And we acquired it from a tenant in 1913.
Right.
It then, in the 1920s and 30s, got used by the estate electrician because we had our own power station in those days, and he had to do the rounds of the estate. So he used this as his works vehicle. And then when my father inherited the estate, this was the only car that came with it. And so this was the first car to become what became the Montague Motor Museum and later the National Motor Museum.
That's right.
But all the family have done the London to Brighton run in this and completed it, most of us, if not all of us.
All of you have, yeah.
Really?
So it's a very special car to us.
So can you explain to me and everybody else who's watching, what is the Brighton to London run?
Basically, it was originally called the Emancipation Run. So in 1896, the first run was initiated, and it's basically tearing up of the red flag where prior to 1896, you had to have a man with a red flag walking in front of your vehicle. But in 1896, that was repealed, you tore up the red flag, and then you could drive at any speed you wanted down the road.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the first one was 1896.
It was the emancipation of drivers. Yeah. So then came the Brighton to London.
London to Brighton.
London to Brighton,
yeah.
To celebrate this? Or?
Yeah, it's an annual thing that's happened ever since, basically, apart from the war years. So,
okay. And who can sign up for it? Do you have to have a historic car?
You have to have a car built up in, 1904 and prior, basically.
So this just gets in.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No older cars.
Okay, so how
no newer cars. Yeah.
Right, so 1904 or before,
yeah.
You can do London to Brighton, the run. And this has been happening every year apart from pandemic years of war. How fast does this car go?
I think flat out we're looking about 30 to 35 mile an hour, but it's quite comfortable at 30.
Okay. So
25 to 30.
I have to say, that's faster than I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, it's only a little engine.
Come and have a look under
Yes,
the bonnet.
I'd
Ian's
love
been
to.
getting it ready.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That is the 1-cylinder block.
Oh my goodness.
So it's about as simple as you can get for an engine.
It really is.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. For some reason I thought it was going to be a little bit more complicated. Yeah. All right, so what are you doing now?
Well, I'm just about to make it run. So
okay.
To make it run, I have to turn a few things on, turn the fuel on, turn the battery on, set the ignition controls to, which is very important. You must set the ignition controls on a car like this because you're going to be starting it on the handle.
No.
And if you get it wrong, it's going to hurt, basically. And you quite frequently, these sort of cars would break people's arms if you didn't do it right.
Okay.
So, vital that we do it right.
Yeah, okay. I will have you do that.
So there's a little switch here that we just tighten up, and that connects the battery. So under here, there's a little fuel tap.
And that you've turned that on.
That's on. So on the carburetor there's a little hole. And we just poke this little bit of wire down in there.
Right, so that's just, you're just using this to test it.
Just to make sure there's enough fuel in there to start the engine.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So next thing we need to do is set the controls. I'll just put my little bit of wire away so I don't lose it. We have an array of controls here.
Yes,
Most
you do.
important one is the one on the side there. That's the brake.
Brake, yep.
This top lever, hear that clicking sound?
Yep.
Well, that's the advance and retard of the ignition. So it's the ignition timing, basically.
Okay.
So this lever is the gear lever.
Ah.
So you've got your low speed and your high speed.
No clutch.
No clutch at all.
No clutch.
And the final control is this little switch here, and that's the ignition switch.
There's a lot of gadgets here.
No, it's very
What about
simple
this
once
one?
you get
Does
used
that
to
still
it.
work?
You can
Try it.
try that, yeah.
So brilliant. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. This is incredible. I'm nervous to drive this though. Oh.
It was going so well.
Oh dear. Maybe the car is nervous of me driving it too. It stopped before we even started.
So Ian's just having a little play with it, but this entire vehicle has just, it's almost shocked me. I thought the engine was going to be just completely enormous for some reason. I don't know why, but there's so many levers and gadgets and things to push and to pull and to turn and don't break your arm and stand back a bit. And I don't know how he remembers all this. So, I mean, they do want me to drive, but I'm gonna be a bit nervous. I mean, what if I like crash into that vintage car and then I ruin 2 cars while I'm here? I'll never be invited back again.
Once Ian makes a few adjustments, it seems I'm headed for the open road. First though, a much needed lesson.
See, you just gently push it.
So I don't even touch that?
No.
So I just keep it on the parking brake or not?
Well, you can. No, you may need the throttle. See,
There's
I'm
no pedals.
just.
There's no pedals.
I'm just gently pulling this forward. You see, I mean, you've got plenty of revs. You see.
I gotta breathe through this and like get some courage here that I'm not gonna mess this up.
You'll be fine. Yeah. So.
Okay. So nervous.
See.
And also
just-
there's like people out there.
People, cars. Oh my God.
There's people
Right.
out there.
Now the thing is, I can just about slip out this way, but
Okay, do you want me here?
you can move over.
Oh, now it's my turn.
And I have to worry about make sure I don't like hit our
Well,
cameraman.
Well, preferably not.
He says that. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this back
Yeah.
and it will go forward.
Well, if you pull that forward at the same time, otherwise you'll just roll back.
Oh, okay, I see.
Go on a slight hill. That's it. So just slowly pull it towards you. That's it.
Okay, watch out, everybody. Okay. Now, should I let it
pull
release
it, pull it a bit more.
in towards me?
Yeah, because I don't think it's fully.
Okay. Is it off the brake? Do you
Yeah, I
think?
think it is. Just pull that in a bit more.
Oh yeah,
see?
in more. Okay.
That's
Oh. Okay, brave.
Okay.
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 Yeah. How do I slow this
So,
down?
all right. So put it back into neutral, it's about there.
Okay.
Then reach out to the gear stick. So that hand back on there.
Okay.
Right hand on the. That's it. And push it towards.
Oh, that's I
Can
can
you
slow
feel
down.
it? Can you feel it?
Yeah.
Stopping it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
See?
Okay. Oh, okay.
So you know.
Okay. So
That's it. That's it.
now,
Just
okay.
slowly.
Now. Okay. Got it. Got it.
Okay.
I can feel it now.
A bit more. You can sort of hear when it's
Yeah, you
pulling
can.
gear. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now I feel.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So do
Then I can go here, and I crikey.
Now look, you can do a circle here, whatever you like. Figure of 8.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Great.
Oh my goodness.
Put it right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I don't want to go into high gear. I'll have you keep it in high gear. Now what do I do? Right?
Well, you can carry on. We'll do it
We'll go hit straight?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, she's telling me to stop. Ooh.
No, you didn't do anything
No, I
wrong
didn't do
there.
anything. Okay.
I don't know what happened there.
Luckily, Victoria wanted us to stop, so that's...
That was not planned. That's called conking out. But you just keep it going on gravity and we'll get back to the workshop. So if necessary, I will get out and push.
I'll
But we're still moving.
I'm happy to push with you.
No, it's all right. You won't need a lot of pushing. It's nice to feel the wind going through your hair.
So, how was that for me? I mean, I was nervous. It's nervous because it's so different. It's like you have to work your left brain and your right brain, and your handbrake here, and then get it into neutral here, and then you've got to turn the wheel at the same time, and then you don't want to stall it, which I did. That's why.
No, she didn't. I mean, well, it stalled itself.
It stalled itself.
It wasn't your fault.
Oh my goodness.
Lovely and quiet now, isn't it? Just like an electric car.
It is. It's like an electric car. That's exactly right. That's what our roads are going to sound like soon. Quiet.
Back to the safety of the workshop.
The National Motor Museum grew from the Montague family's pioneering spirit and passion for the motor car. And that spirit remains at the heart of the visitor experience today.
Here is this wonderful statue of my father, who was the founder and creator of the museum.
Incredible.
And so, as well as being very proud of him, I'm very pleased that everybody who comes in is welcome. He's looking out to people as they come in. So here we are at the National Motor Museum. And what we have in the entrance hall here is a quick cross-section of British motoring history, really, starting with the very earliest vehicles, going around clockwise to something from today.
Right, okay.
But one of our star exhibits has for many years been this 1909 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. And I'd particularly like to tell you the story of the mascot.
Yes.
Now, you would have seen this mascot on other Rolls-Royces.
Of course.
Although on more modern Rolls-Royces, she's a lot smaller.
Yes.
Now, this mascot was created by a sculptor called Charles Sykes at the suggestion of my grandfather, because before 1911, owners were putting their own mascots on their cars, including Rolls-Royces, and Rolls-Royce felt that some of them weren't really appropriate and dignified for their product. So my grandfather said, look, why don't you commission your own official mascot? And his secretary, who was also his mistress, modelled for Charles Sykes. And so we know that actually the model for this was a lady called Eleanor Thornton. And of course
your grandfather's mistress.
Correct. And so she, as you know, has now adorned tens of thousands of Rolls-Royces around the world.
What an incredible story.
Once restored, this car was on every postcard, every brochure, calendars, biscuit tin lids, you name it.
Right.
And it's become a very famous car as a result.
Yeah, no, and so people do, I mean, obviously they come to the National Motor Museum to, as you say, to see the whole story of evolving
British,
of motoring, if you like, but this is what people come to see. And you know, you could just stare at this all day. It's such a beauty. It's
and of course, any car from this era is hand painted. I mean, they didn't have spray painting, and all this lining is done by hand, and the crest
all done
by hand. From its beginnings in the 1950s, the National Motor Museum showcased the exceptional innovations and development of the motor car.
So now we're coming into the section that shows the earliest cars, and what these illustrate is how the combination that we accept today of four wheels, drive in front, round steering wheel, is not something that was immediately arrived at. And there were two different schools of construction. One was based on the bicycle and using a frame and not necessarily four wheels. And the other was the carriage, which was obviously a much heavier thing. So you can see you know, something like this Pennington autocar is very much based on bicycle engineering, whereas this Columbia Electric, which is an American, early electric American car, you can see clearly, it you know, almost looks as if it's ready to be pulled by a horse sort of.
Incredible, 1901 USA.
So, you know, the electric car is not a new thing. And
I was about to say, it's funny how we're kind of going, you know, full circle. Absolutely full circle.
And certainly these two cars are both regulars in the London-Brighton Run. This is really my car of choice because she's such a good performer and will easily outrun the Didion which you were driving.
Right, and four-seater, I see that, so quite...
Yeah. And here is our, four-seater.
Yeah.
Here's our other Didion, a year later than the one you've driven, and this is a four-seater. But let me tell you, if you had 4 people in it, you'd struggle to get up the hills.
Right. Look, you've got a Cadillac.
Yeah, another American car. Cadillac were very proud of the fact that their parts were interchangeable, which wasn't always the case with early cars. And they would have a sales promotion where they would take 2 cars, take them apart, muddle up the parts and put them back together again to prove that their parts were interchangeable. Well, I'd like to show you this because I think you've seen the film Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yes.
And the car driven by Truly Scrumptious is this car. It's 1909 Humber.
No.
And a real example, I think, of a nice lady's car. You see that little basket here for putting your umbrella in on the side there?
I do.
And that nice little circular
what is
windscreen.
that?
Well, it's to stop flies running, you know, coming into your eyes. Yeah. No, it was a real it is a problem when you're driving old cars. If you either really have to wear goggles or screw your eyes up, or you have a windscreen, and that's just a lovely solution.
That was their solution for the windscreen and a place to put your umbrella.
So I think it's a reminder that actually women were driving cars really from very early days of motoring.
Right. Well, thank goodness for that. We might not have been able to vote, but we could at least drive cars.
And we're just passing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, a car created for the film. So in a sense, it's not an authentic veteran car, but so much a part of our growing up, seeing the film.
This was created for the film? This is the one?
Well, one of several.
One of several, right, one of
because
several.
You know how it is in films.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But
you know,
it's like my favorite film.
It's just, it is in itself part of motoring history, or motoring folklore at least. And a wonderful car to be seen in, as is this 1935 Auburn Speedster from your country.
Oh my goodness.
This is a right-hand drive one, so made for the British market. What's interesting, I mean, it's just a fantastic piece of styling, but only a 2-seater. And with no proper storage in the back, just this side door, which is large enough to put your golf clubs in. And each of these was certified to have reached 100 miles an hour before it left the factory by a racing driver called Ab Jenkins. And there's a special plate inside to verify that this car has been tested to 100 miles an hour.
Right, to 100 miles an hour.
But quite nice for the straight roads of parts of California, say.
It's a beauty.
It's a wonderful piece of 1930s styling, isn't it?
And the mascot there.
Yeah, love him. Yeah. But having driven her, I have to tell you, not good for windy roads.
Right. Yeah, it's rather large.
Yeah,
long.
And then, as you can imagine, it's really important for us to keep refreshing the exhibitions and have something new for people to see when they come back. And this is our present exhibition, cars from the Bond film No Time to Die.
So these are the...
Yes. And what's interesting is they didn't buy an old DB5.
Oh my goodness!
The car.
This is the car.
Well, one of them.
Well, one of them, but yes.
This is always the thing about films.
Yes, there's several.
But look closely at the damage. This is actually all vinyl.
Yes.
This is actually gel.
It's gel.
But this is real damage.
This is right.
When the baddies start shooting straight into the glass bomb, that really is crazed glass.
Right, that is wonderful. Oh my goodness! I can't believe
There he is doing that.
There it is. So has this drawn in
Yes.
numbers, especially during children's holidays.
right.
And
It's a great way of combining our subject, which is obviously the history of motoring, with a popular theme.
yes,
Which we need to do.
yeah, no, absolutely. You've just got to keep creating.
So, as you know, Beaulieu is here because King John granted some land to Cistercian monks in 1204 and founded an abbey. This is what remains because Palace House, of course, was not built over the top of the old abbey, but around the gatehouse. And so this building, which was the lay brothers' dormitory and refectory, survives. And so this is where we now have an exhibition downstairs and a banqueting hall upstairs.
So this is another exhibition space for people to come through and see, is that right?
That's right, and this is just worth looking at because this model shows just how extensive the buildings of this abbey complex were in this building.
Okay, so this survived.
This survives, and this building survives, which is now the parish church of Beaulieu. But all of the rest was just pretty well destroyed. Some remains on the ground. But
Because of Henry VIII.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And this was, more or less the size of Winchester Cathedral. It was a
my
big abbey
goodness.
church. Let me take you upstairs because we have these wonderful embroidered wall hangings created by my mother to tell the story of Beaulieu Abbey. And they really are wonderful pieces of art.
Oh, they are.
So she produced
Incredible.
about one of these a year, and this one depicts the foundation of the abbey, which all started with King John having a bad dream. He had ordered some troublesome monks to be stampeded, but actually his men refused to carry out his orders, and he then felt so bad about it in the night that he had a dream about it. And so here you see King John being in his dream beaten by the abbots who he had regarded as his enemy, and then he suddenly, it would seem, realized the error of his ways and then granted this land here to monks from Citeaux in France, Cistercian monks, to found an abbey. And we use this for weddings and dinners and receptions. This had been used as a sort of farm, a glorified farm shed. At one time it was actually a farmhouse. So it's been converted several times over. I think these little slit windows are probably the original pattern, whereas these bigger ones, not. I mean, this is where the lay brothers slept. Whether they had partitions, I'm not sure. But this is actually, I think, my favourite of the wall hangings because of the colours, and I particularly like this deep purple background and the angel and the stars. This depicts the dedication of Beaulieu Abbey, which happened in 1246. So foundation 1204, dedication 1246. So, some decades later, several bishops attended.
This is wonderful what your mother did.
And it's a mixture of canvas work, and applique, screen printing, hand embroidery, machine embroidery. She didn't really mind mixing it up.
Right.
As long as it produced the right
stunning.
So, I mean, these two panels really just show monastic life. You've got forestry, keeping sheep, making wool, honey, beekeeping, wine or grapes.
Wine, yes.
Ploughing the fields, harvesting, baking bread.
I mean, the detail really is the storytelling.
The monks knew all about the use of herbs, both medicinal and culinary. So, I mean, this is a lovely one. Really a lot of detail in this.
Honestly, it's wonderful. It's funny because from the outside you don't necessarily expect to see so much, not just the detail of what your mother has created here, but the timber is up above.
Yes.
And, as you pointed out, these windows here and the arches. I mean, there's a lot of detail that luckily has been retained.
This recalls the closure of the abbey and the dissolution. And here is Henry VIII granting the ownership, or selling the ownership, to Thomas Risley, my ancestor, the first Earl of Southampton. So we have, as my mother imagines it, the final monks leaving, who were pensioned off. There's a myth that there was a gold Madonna, which the monks didn't want the crown to get their hands on. So Here we see a monk throwing it into the local pond to protect it.
Right.
But it's never been found.
That's it, right.
You can actually see a man here beginning to demolish the abbey, and the bell is already on the ground.
Such incredible stories here. But what a great space as well.
Yes. And these were made to fit the spaces.
Yes.
Which,
It's just wonderful.
so we're now coming into what was the cloister of Beaulieu Abbey. And the grass area would always have been open, but the paved area would have been enclosed. And of course, a semi-ruin with undergrowth and trees established has a charm of its own, and there's a balance to be struck, because obviously we are under an obligation to maintain this as a scheduled ancient monument. But you don't want to just tear all the plants off the wall, because they actually, you know, are part of the atmosphere of the place now. It is a lovely place for me, as well as many others, to come and just walk. And
It really, do you know what's so, I think, fascinating for me is that I feel, you know, walking through, you know, these abbey ruins, if you like, it gives me this real sense of peace. I've seen different parts of course, Palace House and the National Motor Museum, and present day to bring in the visitors. This is where I would want to go. The history here, and knowing that at least some of the abbey survived.
you might like to look at this wonderful quote of St. Bernard, who was really the founding father of the Cistercian movement.
Right. So it says, "It is good for us to be in this place, for here a man lives more worthily, falls from grace more rarely, rises more swiftly, walks more carefully, rests more peacefully, dies more happily, is absolved more speedily, is rewarded more bountifully." But I think what really speaks to me here is, you know, the last part where it says, if you walk more carefully, well, of course, then you're going to rest more peacefully, you'll die more happily, and rewarded more bountifully. For me, it's all about this walking more carefully, being mindful, staying in the present moment, not allowing that head to be absorbed by all the time of the external world.
Which is so easy
And
to...
to stay inward.
Yeah, well, this is a good place to do it. Okay, so we're now coming into what would have been the Abbey Church, which was the size of a cathedral. And the choir monks would have actually worshipped at this end, possibly behind a screen, with the laity down at the west end. So this box hedge with the cross represents roughly the position of the high altar. But
Okay.
actually behind it would have been a series of radial chapels. Yes.
I'm trying to envision it now.
It's the vertical dimension where you really have to use your imagination,
Yes.
but it was a big building. And these piles of rubble here indicate where the columns were all the way down that would have held the roof up.
Fantastic. So, right. Oh my goodness.
big.
It is
You can
vast.
see over to what
all
would have
the
been the west
columns.
door. Yeah, and this wall is all now that survives. Apart from these steps, so
Right.
these are called the night steps because the choir monks who slept up here had to sing offices in the middle of the night. So they had the night stairs, so they had direct access into the Abbey Church from their sleeping quarters.
And then here's the high altar.
Yes, and we do occasionally have outdoor worship here. For the 800th anniversary of the founding of the Abbey in 2004, some of the monks from Mount St. Bernard, which is the remaining Cistercian abbey in England that's active,
It's active.
some of them came here and participated in a special service.
Wonderful. You know, it's a real sadness that
It is. I mean, it's an awful piece of destruction, and
Yes.
yet somehow the passing of time and the establishment of nature, where man has done his worst, does actually have a healing quality in itself. And as we said, there's somehow imprinted here, I think, the spiritual quality of the place.
No, I couldn't agree more. Beautiful.
What a lasting memory to see these beautiful ruins, giving a glimpse into what it was like here in the medieval era. And out on the estate, I'm meeting up with Rachel, resident agent here, to find further evidence of monastic life at Beaulieu.
So where are you taking me, Rachel?
Well, we're heading now for the Monk's Well. We're crossing the reservoir part at the moment.
Okay.
But we're heading to the source, which is the spring.
I hear water.
Yes, it runs from the well into the reservoir on our left and then disappears from the reservoir down this drain here and through. Can you see that brick arch, Julie, in amongst the ferns?
Yes, I can.
It disappears down through that brick arch.
Oh my gosh.
And all the way to the gardens.
Oh,
and
this
there it is.
Magical. This is absolutely magical.
It's like finding some sort of mystic grove, isn't it?
It really is. Oh my goodness.
This is the source of the spring.
This is
So the spring comes up within here.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about this structure here.
I believe it was built by the monks in the 13th century. I think it then got overgrown and it was rediscovered in the 18th century by Lord Montagu's ancestors.
Right. All right. So can I go down and have a little peek?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
13th century. Incredible.
So inside here is where the spring would have come up.
This was built by the monks,
Yep.
rediscovered in the 18th century. Do I have that right? Oh my goodness, it's fantastic. I want to swim in here. Rachel, it's lovely. It's so, look, like, can you drink this?
I think they used to. Mary and Lord Montagu tell me that they drank it as children.
But it's literally crystal clear. I mean, this water is crystal clear.
It is.
So this was built 13th century, as you
Yes.
said, and then it was the source of water for the abbey, the monks at the
Yes.
abbey. This was a real find.
And massively important. And I think it came down in sort of troughs from here down into the abbey.
Right.
I believe. Obviously now it runs in pipes, but I think originally it ran in troughs.
How wonderful. And is this used at all, this water used at all anymore for
Yes,
any part
absolutely.
of the estate?
We use it for watering all the gardens, and in fact it supplies the fountains in the ornamental gardens, the Victorian vegetable garden and the Victorian flower garden.
Fantastic. What a wonderful treasure, really, for
It's
me to
super,
come
isn't
and
it?
see. And just the way that
Just
they
the dome and everything,
Yeah.
it's just lovely.
built it perfectly.
Yeah.
How brilliant.
Oh my goodness. What a sight. I mean, this is pure magic. I think you could set up like an entire glamping
It's a lovely spot, isn't it?
system here. You know what I mean? Glamping business. I'd run it. I'd happily run the glamping business here. Water, wild garlic, nettles, nature, you know, bird song everywhere.
Yes, yes.
I mean, a much more simple life, I think, is what a lot of us are craving these days. I know I am.
Definitely, definitely.
I find it endlessly fascinating exploring the ruined buildings scattered across historic estates like Beaulieu. Lord Montagu is taking me to see a recent restoration project which shows how different life was before the early 20th century.
So every large house, of course, had an operating kitchen and a kitchen garden to produce the food, but it needed also ways of preserving that through the winter. And so what used to be done before they had refrigerators is that you'd have an ice house, which is a big pit in the ground in which you put ice in the winter, and that kept it cold right through into the summer, and you could preserve food in it.
I've been to many historic houses, and you're the first house I've come to where I'm actually seeing the ice house itself. It's wonderful to see it. So this is how they would preserve their food.
Yeah, and most of it's underground.
Right.
But the interesting thing for me is that this whole area was completely overgrown, and I knew there was an ice house in here, but I didn't know where it was. For years, I was playing in these woods and never knew where it was. And this arch had collapsed forward, so it was at an angle. And our local contractor managed to get his digger grab underneath it and
No.
dig it out
No.
and push it back
Oh
up.
my goodness!
So if you look inside, you can see it goes
This
down
is
quite
incredible.
low. In there, in the winter,
Yes.
ice would be brought in from the local pond. So ice made from fresh water. And this would be filled up, and then there would be, I think, straw put on top, and then the food would be added for preservation. And then they would gradually take ice out to bring to the kitchen when it was required, if the cook was making ice cream or
Right.
something that needed
Right.
cooling.
Oh my goodness, this is incredible. So you didn't know that this was here as a boy?
Well, I never discovered it.
this.
I
Right,
kind of
right.
heard that there used to be an ice house somewhere in this area.
So when we think about ice houses, when do we think that they actually just stopped functioning? I mean, obviously,
I would guess probably at the start of the First World War, because
right.
there wasn't the labour to carry the ice. It would have been a big operation to bring the ice in, and probably after the First World War there were probably early refrigerators.
yeah, there were early refrigerators. How fascinating.
There's quite a useful picture here to sort of illustrate how the ice was put in.
Wonderful. I
But
mean, what a treat.
But imagine if you were the cook and you wanted something out of the freezer, you'd have to send a boy up here to go and get it. I mean, it would be a half an hour's operation.
It certainly would.
Or maid.
Well, that is one invention I think we both can be very grateful for, is the refrigerator.
Indeed.
And the freezer. After leaving Lord Montagu, I actually wanted to come back here to the Abbey and just sit within where the Abbey used to sit, because I felt the energy of this place, and within me it really spurred this sense of calmness and mindfulness, and really an opportunity to connect to the history that is so rooted in here at Beaulieu, these monastic roots, the monks walking around. And I really felt that. And so for me to be able to just come back here and sit here where this wonderful energy is all around me, kind of just sums up my day here at Beaulieu. I'm here at Buckler's Hard, which is part of the Beaulieu estate, and it's filled with maritime history. I'm about to meet Mary, Rafe's sister, and she's going to fill me in on the history and what's happening at the present day here at Buckler's Hard. Also, it's a spectacular day too.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Julie.
Nice to meet you, Mary. So nice to meet you. By the way, I had such a great time with your brother. Tell me about Buckler's Hard.
This is Buckler's Hard. So this originally was built in about the 1720s as Montagu Town. So the John Duke of Montagu, he wanted to have a sugar import village. He thought he was going to make his fortune out of importing sugar from the West Indies. So he created this model town to be known as Montagu Town. And these 2 rows of cottages were the first part of the development in the 1720s.
Okay.
And this then turned into a shipbuilding village, an industrial site for building ships from about 1740 right through to after the Napoleonic Wars in about 1920. And 50 ships were built on contract for the Royal Navy.
Right. So this
is
really
where they
important.
were built. Really,
Right.
really important.
Right.
And this was a thriving shipyard. You would have had, at the height of it, maybe 2 ships there on the slipways down on the river there. Big gunships. These were warships built here out of timber from the Beaulieu estate and from the surrounding New Forest timbers, because that's
Yes.
all the preserves of the Royal
Yes.
Navy. And then the ships were launched in the river and towed around to Portsmouth, to the Royal Dockyard, where they were
Yes.
fitted out with the masts and cannon, and then off to war.
Do you have, I know you mentioned that there were about 50 built during, was it about 50 you said during that?
50, about 50 ships, yeah.
Yeah, and any famous ones?
Indeed, absolutely. So the most famous of all is probably HMS Agamemnon. So that was Nelson's favourite ship. He sailed on it for 3.5 years. It was a 64-gun, very, very good ship. But of course there would always have been a shipyard here right from monastic times, because all the stone to build the abbey had to come up this river.
Of course.
It all came by boat. So this corner of the river, this hard, is where the ships would have stopped on the tide, because they couldn't carry on up in low water.
Right.
So, you know, it would have been a yard here from probably the 13th century.
Incredible.
And so it never really has stopped as
Right.
a boatyard as such. but we have this beautiful preserved village, completely preserved as it was in the 18th century.
So once these cottages were built, they were always lived in.
That's right. So they would have been lived in by hundreds of people at the time of shipbuilding, but even today, there are lots of local residents living in these cottages.
So you are very involved here.
I am maritime.
That's right, you are maritime.
So, yeah, I am maritime. So I do all the maritime stuff in the family. So
Right.
I've always loved the sea, sailing, you know, anything to do with water. So from a very early age, that's been my thing, and that's my passion.
And that's your passion.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I can hear it hear it as you speak, and I understand that my 17-year-old has
Yeah.
decided to sail with you.
Very exciting. It's going to be good.
Which is very exciting. I mean, I have to ask because, you know, our side of the family, of course, has that maritime history as well with the Earl of
Absolutely,
Sandwich.
of course.
And my children have grown up sailing as well. So it's really nice to meet another member of the Montague family so passionate about sailing and the water as much as my children are. Now,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
I'm the American. I didn't grow up sailing.
Yeah.
But they have this wonderful passion, just like you do, and they love being on the water. Maybe it is that Montague.
Maybe it is. Who knows? I mean, it's very infectious.
Okay, so where are we heading to now?
Well, do you want to go in and see the chapel here where I got married?
Oh,
So perhaps we can show you that?
yeah.
So this chapel is just one room wide, and as you'll see, it's very beautiful. And I got married here with 20 people in the room, and it's very special to me. My kids were christened here, and it's used every week by the Beaulieu parish, so we still have services here. Although it's privately owned by the Montague family, it's an active chapel.
Right, it's an active chapel. Can I just ask though, how did you decide what 20 to choose?
Well, now, of course, that was really hard. We did have another 400 people out there having some sort of huge street festival.
Right.
But actually, yes, no, that was quite good because you could just cut it down to 20.
Right.
20 very special people.
How wonderful.
This altar frontal is by my mother. It's another of her very lovely embroideries.
So
So this
talented.
has got the
it's-
names of the ships around. You see Agamemnon, Indefatigable, Euryalus, da-da-da. And also what's amazing is that underneath this place here, about 7 years ago, we had some subsidence in the building and we had to lift the floor and we found underneath a smuggler's cellar. And that's right under the altar. You can see it through the glass plate. When we took the floor up, we found this brick cellar underneath.
No.
And loads of brandy bottles and clay pipes and all sorts of things showing the history of this over the last 200 years.
Right.
300 years, yeah.
The long tradition of shipbuilding here at Buckler's Hard has been recognized in a recently completed project which Mary masterminded.
This is a replica 18th century shipwright's workshop, which I did as a project about 6 years ago. So we got timber from the estate in the log and whole trees, cut them, brought them down here and put a team together to build this by hand. So we only used 18th century methods to build this, and this is a sort of replica workshop based on the vernacular buildings of Hampshire, the sort of exact same building that would have been here on this site.
Right.
Because we know from the maps, from early maps, what was here in the shipyard. And you can see it in the model up in the museum, all the different buildings that were in the shipyard.
Right.
So-
So there were many more buildings.
Many more
So does that
buildings.
mean many more projects for you to come?
Indeed, you're absolutely right. So I'd really like to build a forge next.
All right.
Because of course ships need a lot of iron. They have lots
Yes.
of rivets.
Yes.
And so there was a forge just on the bank up there, and that's the next thing I'd really like to do is to build another building.
When I look around, I mean, this is meticulously done. I mean, it's so spectacular and beautiful.
Yeah, it's
And-
beautiful because it's handmade. You know, it's
yeah.
made by people's hands. We didn't use any machine tools,
No,
so it just
it's
looks
the
lovely.
craftsman. That's
it's craft, yeah.
That's what it is. It's the craft that we take for granted now
Mm-hmm.
and have forgotten about. It's this lost craft, and you've obviously brought it back to life.
I have the dream. The dream is that I can recreate what the shipbuilding would have looked like by actually taking back one of the slipways and maybe laying a keel of a ship, maybe the Agamemnon. Not building a ship,
Right,
but we
right.
just want to put it so it looks like a ship is being built. But it would bring the thing alive, and that's my dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. But come and have a look, and you can see right across the river, see down to the marina and the boatyard. And it's just so beautiful.
It's just, I mean, who wouldn't want to be out at sea every single day? Because it has that, obviously, that calming effect.
Very.
It is wonderful to see how Mary is creating a living maritime history at Buckler's Hard. What an inspiring end to my extraordinary visit to Beaulieu.